Tum Teav, the tragic love story of Cambodia. Welcome to Khmer Chronicles, where we bring the rich stories of Cambodia to life. Today, we dive deep into Tum Teav, a tragic tale of young love, defiance, and fate. Based on a true story passed through generations, this is more than just a love story, it's a powerful reflection of Khmer culture, social norms, and destiny. Tum Teav is a classic 19th century Khmer literary work, often compared to Romeo and Juliet. It tells the story of Tum, a young monk, and Teav, a beautiful maiden, whose love defies societal norms and ends in tragedy. The poem is attributed to the monk Sam and is based on oral traditions and true events.
Long ago, in the quiet village of Banum, now Prey Veng, a boy named Tum was born. Raised by a single mother, Tum's childhood was simple. But his voice, his voice, was anything but ordinary. When the time came, his mother brought him to a nearby temple. There, he would become a monk, just like tradition demanded of boys ready to grow into men. At the temple, Tum met another monk, Pitch. The two became inseparable. Tum discovered a gift. He could chant Khmer smote with a melodic voice that moved hearts. And Pitch, his flute, brought the verses to life. Together, they formed a duo of music, meaning, and mindfulness. The temple was a place of learning, prayer, and craft. Villagers brought rice and fruits in exchange for blessings. Some monks carved intricate woodworks called tok to trade for temple supplies. One day, Tum had an idea.
What if we travel beyond the village to sell talk?
He asked Pitch.
We could help the temple even more.
You may go,
The abbot said.
but remember this, you are monks. The world will tempt you, but do not stray, especially from women.
With a farewell to the temple and a prayer to Lord Buddha, Tum and Pitch set off. Their cart held carved talk, dried food, and scrolls. And so began a journey that would change everything. In Tum's heart was devotion, but also curiosity, a soft longing for something unknown. Little did he know, the next village would introduce him to someone he could never forget. Day after day, Tum and Pitch passed through dusty roads and sleepy villages, selling talk, beautiful carved ornaments made by temple hands. Their journey brought smiles, blessings, and stories whispered under starlight. One day, they arrived at Po Chern Kal village. As evening approached, they set up camp near the village well, where laughter and footsteps echoed every evening. As the sky turned amber, the village gathered near the well. Tum began to chant a melodic smote, his voice like a flowing river. Pitch's flute weaved through the air. That's when No arrived, water pot in hand, curiosity in her heart. Tum's voice told ancient stories. Pitch's flute carried them beyond the trees. No, like many, was captivated. But more than anyone, she saw the light in Tum's face. She could not wait to tell her lady. In the stillness of her mother's home, Teav waited. In her chul malab, her sacred shade, she was hidden from the world. As tradition demanded, she was not to be seen, only to grow silently into womanhood. No returned from the village well, her eyes wide with wonder.
Oh, Lady Teav, I heard an angel chant from under the banyan tree. He's a monk named Tum, and he sings like the river flows.
No explain and describing to her lady. Teav listened as if hearing poetry for the first time. Tum's name bloomed in her heart like a lotus in hidden light. She could not see him, but she imagined him. That evening, Teav sat beside her mother. With a voice as soft as silk, she said,
Mother, may we invite the monks to chant for us at home? I long to hear the smote for myself.
Ye Fan, proud and curious herself, nodded.
Let it be done,
She said. for even she wished to hear this monk whose voice stirred the whole village. With the sun barely lifting above the palm trees, Ye Fan dressed in her finest and set out to invite the monks. The quiet path led toward destiny. Tum and Pitch accepted the invitation humbly, unaware of the twist fate had begun to write. Back at home, Teav sat in front of her window, looking out not to admire, but to wonder. Who is this monk? Why does his name live in my breath? She did not know, but something ancient had awakened within her. Soon, Teav would hear the voice that haunted her dreams, and Tum, unaware, would step across a threshold no monk should ever cross. When Ye Fan invited them, Monk Tum agreed without hesitation. But Pitch, ever faithful to the abbot's teachings, warned him.
It is not proper, brother. We were told to avoid temptation.
Tum arrived alone. Ye Fan welcomed him with great respect. A mat was laid out. Incense burned softly in the AI. Teav, hidden behind a curtain, listened with her heart pounding. She couldn't resist. Quietly, she peeked around the edge and met Tum's eyes. Teav quickly signaled to know. In her hand, a silk scarf and a small pot of scented balm. A gift, an offering, a message. Ye Fan, impressed by Tum's voice and grace, offered to make him her godson. Tum accepted with a respectful smile. Tum returned to the camp. Pitch was waiting, tense and quiet. Tum tried to ease him.
Brother, you were right to worry, but she is remarkable.
One day, Tum whispered, eyes on the moon, I will return, not as a monk, but as a man, to marry her. After selling all the wooden carvings, Tum and Pitch returned to the temple. But Tum's thoughts did not return with him. He thought of her eyes, her voice, her graceful gesture. No one, not even the temple, could calm his heart.
She gave me these, Pitch. It must mean something.
Tum whispered, but Pitch could only shake his head, reminding him of the abbot's warning. One night, Tum confessed.
I must leave. I must see her again, as a man, not as a monk.
Pitch sighed. He too wished to return home. Together, they went to the abbot. They bowed deeply, lit incense, and asked to leave the monkhood. They claimed it was for their mothers, but the abbot saw the truth.
You lie, my sons. Your hearts have wandered because of a woman.
The abbot's voice was kind but firm.
Tum, if you leave now, you will suffer death. Wait for the month of Paisak, and you will find fortune.
But 6 months felt like a lifetime. Tum held Teav's scarf to his chest. Each passing day, without knowing her feelings, deepened his ache. Tum and Pitch leave monkhood. When the sacred lunar month of Bas arrived, Pitch left the monkhood with full blessings from the abbot. Tum, still bound by time, felt more alone than ever. Far away, Teav longed for Tum. Each night, she lit incense and prayed to the Buddha that her beloved would return to her soon. Tum visited his mother, pretending to be ill. She pleaded with the abbot, but he knew Tum's heart longed for a girl, and reminded her of the prophecy. Consumed by love, Tum ignored all warnings. Alone in the forest, he offered one last prayer and shed his saffron robe, ready to embrace his fate. Pitch was stunned. Though happy to see his friend, he feared for Tum's future and urged him to return to the temple. The abbot, though disappointed, forgave Tum. He gave his blessing and watched his student walk away, toward love and toward destiny. After receiving the abbot's forgiveness, Tum bid farewell to his aging mother and neighbors. He asked them to care for her should misfortune ever strike. With his brother-like companion Pitch by his side, they set off, this time not as monks, but as ordinary men on a heartfelt journey back to Pachungkal. The path led them through lush forests, beneath tall trees where sunlight danced between leaves. Birds chirped high in the branches, and wildflowers swayed gently in the breeze. But Tom's heart was restless. He tried to enjoy the beauty around him, the deer grazing, the butterflies fluttering. But a single question echoed in his mind. Did Tev still remember him? Was she still waiting? Or had she married another? At a roadside village, Tum asked a group of young men if they knew a maiden named Tev. Their answer lit up his soul.
Yes, Tev lives far from here, but she's not married.
Tum's hope surged. Days later, as the sun began to set, the familiar sight of Pachungkal came into view. They reached Tev's home, but Tum hesitated.
What if they don't remember me?
Pitch reassured him.
Her mother already accepted you as a godson. She will welcome you.
They stepped into the courtyard, and there, just as Pitch said, Ye Fan greeted them with warm joy. Tum told her he had returned for Tev, but Ye Fan, overwhelmed with happiness, simply celebrated his return. Tev and No were not in sight. She was still in seclusion, her Chal Malab not yet complete. In a land ruled by honor and hierarchy, there lived a powerful lord or chun, wealthy, feared, and revered by many. He had a son, Mun Noern, of age to marry, and among all the maidens in the land, one name echoed again and again, Tev. Lord or chun and his wife saw this marriage not just as a union, but as a strategic rise for their family line. Though Tev was a commoner's daughter, her beauty, manners, and reputation made her the perfect match. So the Lord sent his elders and servants, bearing fine gifts, gold ornaments, silk, and fruit baskets, to ask for Tev's hand in marriage. At the humble house of Ye Fan, the guests were welcomed with nervous smiles. Though she was just a widow, this proposal was a dream come true, or perhaps a storm in disguise. When the guests left, Ye Fan turned to her daughter and urged her to accept. But Tev, whose heart belonged to Tum, refused. Ye Fan's face turned from hope to fury. She warned Tev of or Chun's power, that he was like a mountain crushing whatever stood in his path.
You are just an egg, he is the rock,
she said. But Tev, with quiet strength, spoke her truth.
Then let your other daughters marry him,
she said. Her defiance pierced through tradition, through fear, through everything expected of a young woman in her time. Angered and cornered, Ye Fan thundered with the old saying,
Number mint hum cheng meal. A cake cannot outgrow the cup that holds it.
A mother's authority, a daughter's rebellion, a clash between love and fear. When news of Tev's engagement reached Tum, his heart sank. Pitch urged him to forget her, but Tum held tightly to the token of her love.
Maybe others lie, but not Tev. The fame is proof. I'll go even if it means death.
Who are you?
I once came as a monk. I performed a smote here. This was from Tev.
He showed the fame. Upon hearing his voice, Tev rushed to see for herself.
You are the bee. I am just a flower.
But I am the lion, and you the cave. I will never wander far.
A tree. And you a bird. You'll find another to nest in.
Now I am a tiger, and you are my jungle.
At first, she resisted, but as his words melted her fear, love took its place.
Tum, what brings you here?
I came to do business, to buy cattle. I've been here since earlier. I needed a place to stay.
Then stay, my son. You are family.
Even as Mern Noern arrived bearing gifts and promises, Tev gave him silence. Her heart had already chosen.
Your Majesty, there's a monk-turned-layman named Tum whose chanting is unmatched, and his companion, Pitch, plays flute like the wind.
The king nods with interest, waves his hand.
Bring them to me.
The official and servants arrive at or Chun's mansion. announcing the royal order. Tum and Pitch are summoned formally. Orchun escorts them forward. The official hands them a travel scroll, sealing the king's invitation. Tum informs Teav, softly.
The king has summoned me to the palace.
Teav's face falls. She folds his travel clothes silently.
Don't forget me, Tum. Take me with you someday.
Teav told Tum.
I will. My love will not end, even at the palace.
Tum solemnly. Every sight, every sound along the way, reminded Tum of the one he left behind. Tum's mother greets him warmly, tearful but proud.
Serve the king well, my son, but guard your heart.
She advised Tum. Tum and Pitch kneel before the abbot in full ceremony.
Respect the palace. Stay away from temptation. Do not go where you are not invited.
Abbot firmly told his students.
Flirting with a queen is death. Even the wind should fear the king.
Abbot warned. As the wooden boat drifted slowly along the Mekong, Tum sat in silence, his eyes fixed on the rippling water. The sight of two fish swimming side by side reminded him of Teav. Her smile, her voice, her touch. Each wave whispered her name. Each breeze carried the weight of his longing. Far away in Pachung Kal, Teav sat awake, heart heavy, mind restless. In her sorrow, she held on to hope, a hope that love, once real, would find its way back.
Why does love hurt so much?
Teav asked no. The sun rose over Longvek, casting golden light on the royal city. Streets buzzed with whispers. Two young men had arrived. One with a voice like flowing silk, the other with a flute that could charm the wind. The king, seated among his many wives, smiled as he heard the news. At once he gave orders, prepare a performance. Silks were hung, lanterns lit, and the palace stirred with excitement, for Tum and Pitch were to perform before the crown. As the sun dipped low, and the courtyard filled with nobles and royal wives, Tum and Pitch stepped onto the platform. Silence fell. Tum's voice rose, deep, steady, reverent, the ancient verses flowing like water from the Dharma itself. Pitch's flute echoed after him, weaving a sound both joyful and aching. When the performance ended, the king stood and said, Tum, I knew you would not disappoint me. From this day forward, you are Mun Ek, royal officer of the court. As the golden sash was placed over Tum's shoulder, and the medallion hung from his neck, his eyes drifted toward the sky. He remembered a small house in Pachung Kal, a girl behind a curtain, the feel of silk in his hand, and the warmth of a whispered vow.
I've received everything except the one thing I long for most. Teav, my heart still lives with you.
Tum, soft whisper. After a time, the king grew weary of his current companions and longed for a new wife. He issued an order across the kingdom.
Seek beauty from any land, Khmer, Chinese, or Vietnamese. Noble-born or humble, let charm alone be the crown she wears.
Royal envoys set out across Cambodia. They searched high palaces and humble huts, yet none could meet the king's desire. Until one day, they arrived in the quiet village of Pachung Kal. As the sun dipped low, two girls strolled by the village well. Teav and her loyal servant. No, the servant saw Teav and stopped. Her grace, her elegance, she was unlike any they had seen. Curious, they asked villagers nearby.
Who is this girl?
That's Teav, promised to Mern Norn, the son of Lord Orchun.
They said. But when they heard that the wedding had not yet taken place, the king's men knew what they had to do. They informed Lord Orchun and then went straight to Teav's home. Ye Fan, Teav's mother, was overjoyed.
Prepare yourself, my child. You are to meet the king.
She told her daughter. That very dawn they departed. A boat glided along the Tunnel Sap River, sailing past the growing city of Phnom Penh. But aboard that boat, Teav sat in silence. Her heart belonged to Tum. No crown, no palace, no king could change that. She kept her sorrow hidden, for who could speak against the will of a king? At the grand royal palace, servants led Teav before the king. Her beauty shimmered like moonlight on the Mekong River. The king was stunned. King turned to his wives and asked,
Is she not as radiant as the morning sun? Does she not deserve to be my queen?
Yes, your majesty. She is truly beautiful.
The king called for music. Tum and Pitch were summoned to perform. But as Tum laid eyes on Teav, his heart trembled. He could no longer pretend. Tum's lyrics, the truth disguised in song. Gasps echoed through the palace. The king stood, fury flashing in his eyes. But then, a pause. The king thought deeply. If what Tum said was true, separating them would go against Dharma, the path of truth and righteousness.
Is this true, girl? Are you and Tum bound by love?
King asked Teav.
Yes, your majesty. I have given him my heart.
Teav answered softly. With a gracious nod, the king ordered the palace to prepare a wedding. Tum and Teav were overjoyed. But far from the palace, Teav's mother, Ye Fan, seethed. She believed Tum had stolen her daughter's future. As soon as I heard the news, she is angrily rushed toward Lord Orchun's mansion asking for good advice. A letter arrived at the palace. It said Ye Fan was gravely ill, begging to see her daughter one last time. When they reached Pachungkal, Teav ran to her mother's home, only to see cakes, fruits, and decorations.
These are not for healing?
Teav doubtfully asked her mother.
It's for your wedding, with Mun Noern.
Ye Fan cheerfully answered. Teav's heart broke. She realized her mother had tricked her. She refused to leave Tum.
My heart is with Tum. I will not betray love. I would rather die.
Imprisoned in her own home, Teav felt hopeless. Her mother, Ye Fan, was pushing her into a marriage she didn't want. In tears, she wrote a letter to Tum, begging him to come for her, before it was too late. When Tum received the letter, fury and grief boiled inside him. He rushed to the royal palace and told the king everything. The king was furious. He had given Teav to Tum out of love, and now Lord Orchun dared defy him. The king summoned his ministers. After deliberation, a royal letter was drafted, a direct order to stop the illegal wedding and reaffirm Tum as Teav's rightful husband. Tum took the letter with him and asked Pitch to come. They both feared they might be too late. Tum's heart was burning with urgency. He wished for wings to fly to Teav's side, before her hand was stolen forever. Back in Tbong Khmum, Ye Fan pressured Orchun. The wedding had to happen now. Servants rushed to prepare food, drink, gifts, and wedding tents. Guests flooded in. The music started. It was a celebration built on lies. As Tum and Pitch approached, they heard music in the wind. Tum turned pale. Is that their wedding? He asked. Pitch confirmed. Tum grew quiet, then reached for wine. Pitch warned him to stay calm. They dressed in fine silk, Tum in green, Pitch in purple. The king's letter was hidden at Tum's waist. They slipped through the crowd. No one noticed, the place was too loud, too drunk. Tum saw the musicians and pushed his way in. The music stopped. Drunk but determined, Tum sang.
Teav, if you are still my wife, come pour me a cup of wine.
The crowd hushed. Moments later, Teav appeared. She did exactly as he asked. He kissed her and declared,
We return to the palace now.
but many eyes watched, and not all were kind. Ye Fan saw everything. Her hatred exploded. She ran to Orchun and screamed,
Take him away. Kill him. Without hesitation, he agreed.
Servants tied Tum with coarse rope. Teav begged them to be gentle.
Use cloth, not rope.
But no one listened. They dragged Tum far from the wedding, near Po Chung Kal. There, without trial, without mercy. They killed him. But before he died, Tum prayed to Lord Buddha, asking for forgiveness and entry into heaven. Terrified, Pitch ran from the scene. He reached the river port and boarded a boat, heading back to the palace, to tell the king that Tum was gone. In the final hours of the night, a whisper moved like smoke through the village of Pachung Kal. No heard at first that Tum was dead, murdered. Her hands shook, her heart dropped, and without a word to anyone, she went to Teav. The two women slipped out into the pale morning. They walked in silence, through grass still wet with dew, until they saw him. There, under a lone tree, Tum lay cold, his face bruised, his body broken, yet even in death, he looked peaceful to Teav's eyes. Teav fell to her knees. Her tears soaked the ground. She whispered one last prayer to Lord Buddha, not for peace, but for reunion. She took the knife from No's hand and followed Tum in death. No screamed. Her cries tore through the air. She called Teav's name again and again, but no answer came. With nothing left to protect, No offered her life to sorrow, and silence followed. A group of children nearby, playing with cattle in the field, saw what the grown-ups feared. Too innocent to be silent, they ran through the village singing, "Who does no earn marry, when the bride lies dead in the grass?" At first, no one believed them, until it was too late. Ye Fan screamed at her servants, blaming them for letting Teav escape, but the servants stood tall. "She was not a prisoner," they said. "You forced her to marry for your pride. You ignored her love. Now she's gone, and this is on you." Dawn came, Lord Orchun. His wife and son attempt to bury them to hide their crime. They dragged Tum's body, stripped his clothes, but as he did, a royal scroll slipped from the cloth. The king's letter, the truth. It declared Tum and Teav were husband and wife by royal decree. In that moment, Orchun saw his power unravel. His hands had spilled innocent blood, and now justice would follow. The villagers fled. The drums fell silent. All that remained was shame, and the promise of punishment yet to come. At the royal palace in Longvek, Pitch stood before the king, his voice shaking, his face pale. He told everything, about Tum, about Teav, about betrayal, murder, and a letter ignored. When the king heard Pitch's report, his heart filled with fury and sorrow. He missed Tum and Teav deeply. He summoned his ministers, council, and royal guards. Justice would be served. The king departed with a great royal procession to Tbong Khmum. Soldiers, elephants, and advisors marched with him, banners flying high. The king arrived and made camp at a respectful distance from Orchun's house. He sent a messenger ahead with orders. "A road must be cleared," he said. "A road that Orchun must walk with his own hands." Orchun obeyed. He cleared a new road from his house to the royal camp. He gathered many servants and prepared gifts, hoping for mercy. The king summoned his ministers and advisors. A tribunal court was formed. The people of the kingdom awaited the verdict. The king ordered his ministers to form a tribunal. "Let justice speak through wisdom," he said. They debated fiercely. Some called for death to all. But one minister spoke calmly. A four-legged beast has front legs and back legs. The back legs only follow. The court reached its decision. Chun, his wife, Mun Noern, and Ye Fan, the front legs of betrayal, would face death. The servants and villagers would be spared, but forever branded as Nek Chia, the untrustworthy. Let no good man trade or trust with them again. Justice had come, not in vengeance, but in law. The king stood beneath the morning sun and offered prayers for Tum and Teav. Their love had been silenced, but their truth had shaken the kingdom.